Yash. Now you know this question is coming from the mind. It's cool though. It has to be like that. How do I stay as awareness when I'm engaged in the world? You see, the real awareness isn't, which is what we are, awareness, consciousness, formlessness. And understand this isn't poetry at all. This is the truth. Like we're talking truth here, not trying to sound cool and look spiritual and all that. But those who have contemplated and meditated on their self know that there's some feeling of just presence. It doesn't have a body. Those who have astral projected, or even if you just in the morning when you wake up for that first second, it's like you don't know yourself as an individual. There's just this spacious like awareness. That's what we are. Then we put on really quick the virtual reality suit, mind, emotions, body, senses, desires, ambitions, all this stuff. We're back into time and space dimension. And so then it's easy for the consciousness to start to think this is what it is. That's also part of the game. But God put the instinct, pure consciousness, ourself, when it designed this virtual reality software with all its software programs and instincts, it instilled the deepest instinct, more deep than self-preservation, the instinct that says, I need to merge with my source. I need to know who I am in essence. That's the deepest instinct. And then self-preservation instincts next, like we don't want to die. And then the next, I would say, is the sexual instinct. That's why people have trouble in that department, even if it's on subtle level. Lust, subtle lust is a big obstruction to one who's trying to find themselves, because the mind, it's great food for the mind to get to enter into this lustful sexual arena when we go out in public. It keeps the mind busy. Who's out there? Who's looking at me? Who am I interested in? Whatever. That's another video, but I'm just saying. So when the mind starts asking itself, like, it's tasted how it feels to exist, but exist as like consciousness or awareness. When that fusion is there, and I'm sure more than a few have experienced that, it's great. You have the virtual reality suit, but the consciousness knows itself while it's in this suit still. But then what happens? It seems to fade, or we lose it. So then the instinct operates through the mind and says, how do I get this back? I seem to be able to have this when I'm alone, when I'm doing my meditation alone, or just when I'm alone, or when I'm in nature, etc. But then I get out into the world, or I'm working in relationships, dealing with some so-called stress or crisis out in the world. I seem to lose myself. So the mind says, how can I stabilize in this knowingness that I'm awareness? Like I knew it. Like yesterday I knew it. Now I don't know it. I mean, I know it, but I'm not feeling it. I'm not experiencing it. So how do I I want to experience it all the time. You see, the awareness or the consciousness isn't asking that. It doesn't have a mind or a brain to even ask that. It doesn't, even saying the words awareness and consciousness is still concepts that the mind uses because of the separation it feels. When the mind gets more soaked in the awareness, then that duality of like the mind and a greater self that you can call the awareness, the mind says, oh, this is awareness. So see, the minds come up with all these words: consciousness, awareness, enlightenment, awakening, not awakening, pre-awakening, post-awakening, all this stuff. Like the spiritual character identified with all these things. That's usually the last thing to get dissolved. because it's hard to catch out. Somebody who's really centered in themselves, I don't feel that they don't even think about that stuff. They don't think about like, how awake am I? Am I awake? What's my pre-awakening like? Now since I'm awake, what's my post-awakening? This is still all mind stuff. For the most part, these people, they have some spiritual experience, and then the mind takes that and stamps it with "I'm awake now," you know, and then it creates all these stories around spirituality and awakening. But is that another video? Maybe, yeah. Maybe I'm deviating again. So how to stabilize, and you've tasted the awareness, you like it, something likes it, because it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like that's what we're here to do, to recognize who we are, which is consciousness or awareness. So then the next step is, well, how do you be that all the time? You see, the mind, or the one that's asking, how do I be that all the time? How do I stabilize in the awareness? It can't do it. It'll get tired. Maybe you can keep it up for an hour or two, but then you'll get tired, or somebody will call you a bad name, and then you'll fall out of awareness and fight them. And then you'll be like, oh, I'm out of awareness. Awareness wouldn't fight. And so then the whole story starts again of feeling separated, trying to get back to the awareness. You know, the best thing I feel is you recognize that the awareness is the awareness, and it can't like figure out, it can't lose itself, and it can't get back to itself. Anytime we ask the question, how do I get back to the awareness? Just know it's the mind speaking. You can still address it. Don't non-dual it away. Nothing exists. But at the same time, recognize that thought, that question is happening inside the consciousness that you are. You can't not. That's important. You have to do that. And then for the seemingly separate character that's trying to awaken, that's trying to get back to the awareness, okay, we can address that too. See, you got to address both. Balance. Duality, non-duality. How do you get back to the awareness? Even though you know you're the awareness. It's like, okay, but I got to play this game because this is the game. What are you going to do? You can't not play it. You can't not experience. It's impossible. As long as this suit, consciousness is dreaming in this suit, there's a game to play. So play it. Let's play. How do you get back to the awareness? I got to make a video on like, take 1 minute and get centered. I think that's my next video. When something recognizes, when that thought starts to come to say like, how do I get back? How do I stabilize in the awareness? Just take a minute and regroup. If you're doing something, try to get away. If you're alone at home, it's easy. If you're out somewhere, just try to go in the bathroom or something. You just want to chill. And then just kind of get back. Like, okay. Okay, I'm consciousness, clearly. Because these thoughts I'm having right now, how to get back to the awareness, I'm aware of these thoughts. That which is aware of these thoughts, it's not trying to get back to the awareness. Like, you can feel it. It's just here. It's just so pure. So what is this? What is this trying to get back to the awareness thing? It's my seemingly separate self trying to get back to its source self. Okay. Just try to bring the attention a little more into this space in which these thoughts are happening. Just pay a little more attention to that. And if the mind gets loud, how do I get back? I need to get back, though. It's not working. It's not working. Like I said, disengage, try from whatever activity you're in, and just try to get grounded again. Your willingness to do that, and then to listen intuitively. See, that's the thing. You'll get the intuitive download and instructions on how to navigate this. I can't give like a specific technique that's going to work for everybody. It depends on so many factors. The main thing that I can give broadly to everybody is when you recognize that there's a feeling that you're out of yourself, take a little bit of time to so-called get back into yourself, to stabilize in yourself. Now, what if you're in a situation you can't? You got some busy job, a lot of things happening, and all of a sudden you feel like you're caught up in that and you can't get back to yourself. And you can't go to the bathroom. People keep asking you stuff and the phone's ringing, whatever. Then you do it then. You pay attention. You can do a spiritual multitask. You pay attention. There's a presence here. You can't, that cannot be obliterated. That's always there. It doesn't matter what you're doing. I remember I used to have if I ever had a really angry episode or sad episode, or even if I was in a fist fight, there was something watching all that happen. Even when I got into a bad motorcycle accident, I had a Ninja. I was driving too fast, and I went up the hill to go down, and then there was a car right there stopped. I'm like, I'm done. Intuition took over. I got off the bike. The bike slid under the car. I slid around the car, and the driver opened his door, and I'm laying there. I might have smiled for a half second, and then I was out. I woke up in the hospital. What's the point? When that was happening, I saw the whole thing. I saw myself wrecking. I knew I was going to wreck. I saw the wreck. The observer saw all that. Those situations I'm the most calm in. You ever notice that? Probably many of you. When we're in those super extenuating circumstances, you can't figure out anything. There's no time to think. Then it's real easy to recognize that you're consciousness. And see, that's going to survive. If the body would have died in that accident, that would have survived. Maybe it would have been like that movie, What Dreams May Come, like Robin Williams, where he saw the body lying there, and he's just watching it. I'm sure that's what it is. So that presence is always there. You can't obliterate that. But you need to pay more attention to it. When you catch yourself getting too identified and caught up in the movie show, the movie magic, the cosmic movie magic, and you can't get away and go to the bathroom, you just ask God to give you the strength to pay more attention to this presence in which all this is happening in. And that's the discipline. That we have to exercise our spiritual muscles. This is part of the game. That's why the people that they hear something and that they're the pure consciousness, and then they think they can just repeat and they're done. Everybody, I'm pure consciousness. There's a grind that has to be gone through, so that then you're qualified. You've went through the process and the undoing. So now you can be one with your words when you speak. You're not just you don't just sound like a tape recorder. But see, that's a stage too. We gotta sound like a tape recorder for a while, so that we know what it sounds like when we sound like a tape recorder. So it's all good. We gotta taste all this stuff. But that's really the most direct, simple pointing I can give, is that you recognize that your presence, your consciousness. You have to know. I assume most know what I'm saying when I say that, because you can feel it right now. As you're listening, you can feel it right now. The presence. You're listening to these words is happening inside the presence that you are. My speaking, I can pay attention right now, the words are happening in the consciousness that I am, but the consciousness isn't speaking. It gives power and energy so that the mind and the body and everything can work. But it itself is just pure consciousness. It's not doing anything. So we have to pay more attention to that. This is the key to liberation, and it's an ongoing thing, and it never ends. This virtual reality, individual self, keeps getting more and more fused with this pure consciousness. It doesn't end. How can it end? Do you know that it doesn't end? That's why I say, on some level, the word awakening, nobody can define it. Everybody has a different definition. Somebody say, oh, but this master said, yeah, okay, well, what about this master? This master said this. You get to where when you start to awaken in your own self, it doesn't matter anymore. You don't need books to tell you what awakening is. You're living it, and something inside intuitively tells you what's what. But isn't it's just a good deal? It's like eating a cake or a fruit, and every time you eat it, it gets better and better and sweeter and better. You see the same thing with the awakening. This is why it's made like that. God knows what he's doing. It would get boring if we reached a certain plateau and then that's it. We're awake now. It'd get boring after a while. So it keeps getting better and deeper and better. Do you know that? Let me know if you know that. Or do you think there's a final awakening? All right. Have a good day.